the hard part about every podcast, honestly, is starting.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised if I mess up the intro. And then afterwards, it's smooth sailing. But usually it takes me like two takes for the intro. All right, everybody, welcome to the Next Gen Unscripted podcast. I'm Trey with the Chamber of Commerce. Super pumped to have two guests today. I have Dalton and Wad from 1108 Media. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm pumped. It is Tuesday morning on March 7th, 18th, right?
Sounds right.
March 10th. We'll
March
just say
10th.
that. It's 9:30 in the morning, so we're starting off the morning strong. We have some nice morning sunlight coming in, so I'm excited for this. So 1108 Media is our guest today. We're going to be talking about the film fest they have coming up, some journeys that these two awesome people have been on to starting this company and all the work that they do. We have an event coming up together with Next Gen and 1108 Media that I'm super excited about, and then just anything else we can think about while we have them here. So we're not live, but I wish I could take user or viewer questions online. Real quick, I wanted to ask, what are in y'all's mugs? You guys came in loaded with 2 mugs. Start with Wad. What you got there?
Spearmint tea. I was like, should I have a third cup of coffee or just kind of cut it off? So
Third? You already had 2 cups of coffee today? Oh my.
I was like, all right.
So you're a caffeine fiend.
Yes, I love my coffee. I need to have my coffee in the morning.
Wow, 2 in the morning. And you almost did a third, but you opted out for pepper. You said peppermint or spearmint tea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Peppermint.
Right on. I love that. And I love tea. I need to start drinking more of it. I'm caffeine free, but that's really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to get there. I aspire.
Yeah, I talked about my last podcast, so I won't get into it again, but it was a tough transition. And sir, Mr. Dalton, what's in that mug?
So this is my Freddie Mac swag mug.
Okay.
I've got cold brew in there, and I'm kind of a slow drinker. Like I'll pour this, and I'll probably drink this until about 3 p.m. I just kind of sip it throughout the day.
So okay. And do you make your own cold brew? No,
No.
not yet. I used to make my own. It's not that hard. You can do
Really?
it. Yeah, I'll teach you. It's so easy. It's honestly like 5 times easier than you would imagine. It's the only thing difficult is the time. It's like I can't remember if it's 24 hours or what anymore off the top of my head.
You leave it like overnight?
Yeah. You just put it in a cold brew diffuser or honestly just a gallon, and then you just have to take out the coffee, and you're left with cold brew. I used to do it all the time. Like I was saying, though, I'm caffeine free now. I do something similar though. In the same liter that I have, I make shrubs. You know what shrubs are? So it's basically, it'll sound gross at first, drinking vinegar.
Okay.
Not kombucha, because what you're doing is making a syrup. You do 1 part vinegar. I use apple cider. 1 part fruit, and then 1 part sugar. I always cut the sugar almost in half. And what you're doing is making a syrup that's very acidic, and it's flavored with fruit and spices and herbs and such. So I'm making a blood orange thyme one right now, and it takes a week.
And you drink this straight, or you put it in other stuff?
You put in other stuff. I usually do it with sparkling water and gin, or you can put it in champagne or prosecco. It's a very fun way to. I don't know. It's easy. It's fun. You can get a lot of cool flavors, and it reminds me of cold brew because it takes a week to make.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually don't know what the difference between cold brew and coffee is.
Really?
I just know that it wakes me up.
Oh, okay, yeah, it does have caffeine. Cold brew is just made cold, and instead of like brewing it, you are just keeping it in water for a week, and then the caffeine and such comes out of it, and the flavor and all that. And sure, I just butchered the explanation, but that's basically it.
Oh, learn something new.
Yeah, and it gets it a lot stronger flavor and caffeine because of that long exposure in the water. But yeah, so Freddie Mac is on that mug, right? And is that where you used to work?
Yeah. I worked there for 8 years in their media services department.
Okay, cool. Well, actually, that's going to be one of our first questions, other than your mugs, is what did you do? What is part of your professional journey to where you are now? And Freddie Mac. So where is Freddie Mac? What do they do? What did you do again? You said 8 years is a long time.
Yeah. It was a great job, man. I got it more or less out of college. So I went to college in Radford, great school, fun school.
Yeah. I'm from Botetourt, and it was like 30, 40 minutes down the road.
Okay, and that's further south, right?
North.
Okay.
North.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a nice area though, man. I encourage people to kind of visit that New River area. But anyway, I went to Freddie Mac, got a media studies degree there. I was doing kind of sports live stream, came back up to Nova. I was doing kind of similar stuff for Georgetown, and then I was also doing work for the Washington Post, Baltimore Sun, cutting up feature pieces for them. Yeah.
Video or?
Video, yeah.
Wow, okay. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
Streaming.
Yeah, live streaming over at Georgetown. I was kind of doing broadcast direction there, and then on the back end doing feature pieces
Yeah.
for media outlets. And I liked it. It's just anyone who works in news media, it's long hours and it doesn't generally pay that well.
It does not pay that well. And like you said, long hours, and the hours too are very unpredictable. The last few snow days we had, there was the big one where it was just coming down hard in downtown Fredericksburg. I remember we were at a bar, and we saw on TV that there was a news camera outside doing some recording, and we're like, that's right outside. If we ran right now outside, we could be on the news. And it was like 9 p.m. on like a Tuesday. So we just all sprinted out and got in the background of this news shot in the snow. I was like, working 9 p.m. on a Tuesday with like a random snowstorm has to be like, it was probably really fun for them. But like you said, those are unpredictable hours.
Yeah, it's not as glamorous as you would imagine it. But you learn a lot. But anyway, I got lucky, and I just got to reach out from a recruiter who said, would you be interested in a contract position over at Freddie Mac? And then a few years later, got FTE'd, full-time employed, and then just kind of kept it rolling. We kind of transitioned from live stream services over to creative, so I got a good understanding of, infrastructure, how media is delivered, but also how agencies like to bring in vendors, create creative, and that's where it sounds redundant, but make creative internally, with the corporate team, and then distribute that externally to clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And you did that for 8 years, right?
Yeah, right around 8 years. Yeah.
And when did you start having ideas of going independent and creating your own company?
It's a good question, man. I feel like the pandemic changed a lot for everyone, but for me, it just gave me a lot of time on my hands. And a friend and I, we just had a lot of video equipment, and we said, let's try to make a movie. And so we did this thing called Asymptomatic about this guy who slowly goes crazy digesting news about the COVID virus. And I was the actor. He was everything behind camera. And what we found out is there's a reason that you see all these credits at the end of the film. It's because there's a lot of different skill sets.
There's I always see like the best boy that pops up.
Yes.
And what is best boy?
It's someone who helps out in the camera department.
Gotcha. Okay, because they're the best boy. But yeah, like you said, you find out all of these roles are pretty important, and you can't just do a movie with two people. Really, it takes a village.
Yeah. And so we never finished the film, but the appetite or the inertia was still there, right? I just really, it's kind of like a tattoo, right? You kind of mess around with the first time, you've got to do more. And so
fall into an addiction.
Yeah, and more or less. And I think it was kind of, I don't know if there's a good kind of addiction, but it gave me purpose, right? Filmmaking was this thing where, you're never really finished. You're just always trying to do better. And I think that was the first step is failure of trying to make a film, but at least there's a baseline of something to get to next.
Well, and I think it's really cool to view it that way. And you'll hear this in every inspirational speaker. They're like, no such thing as failure, but I mean, they're right. That was a really good way to look at that first movie making or filmmaking experience of a lot of lessons learned. Was that with Ryan Cuddy?
No, this was my friend Jackson Carmichael, who ironically enough actually lives in Fredericksburg. And so he was living up in Arlington at the time. We tried to shoot it together in Arlington, and then eventually he moved back down to Fredericksburg, and we found our way back down here a couple years later.
Very cool, very cool. Now, your first experience was with that film. When did that get more and more serious with 1108? WAD, okay. Along Comes WAD.
So I guess it was probably summer of 21. Yeah, it feels like a long time ago now. I know. But yeah, summer 21, we were shooting scripts back and forth, Jackson, myself, and this other guy, just want to shout him out, Buck Bloomingdale. He's another Frederick, great name, right?
As I say, has a cool name.
Yeah, he's a screenplay writer, but he's also based in Fredericksburg, and he just sold his first script out in L.A. for 7 figures.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
He's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very, very cool, but he's the best kind of creative in the sense that he's going to read your work, take it seriously, and help you get it better. So anyway, Jackson and I were working on a script, but we just, were creatives. We were idea guys, and we needed someone to kind of create structure and make these ideas into a feasible, and that's where you have a producer, and that's kind of where WAD fit in. I think, I don't know if we realized it at the beginning, but I think, over time, what I've realized is it's kind of what we needed was someone to take our head out of the clouds a little bit and put rubber to the road.
Okay. Yeah. That's really interesting. I very much can relate. I'm not a creative type, but like you in terms of art, but I very much can relate to that beginning process of an idea. And then how do you translate that rubber to the road? How do you execute that? And I definitely need a team of people to do so. So you met Wad. Had you already started 1108 Media as an LLC?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you were still working at Freddie Mac?
Still working at Freddie Mac. So yeah, I started it beginning of 2021, and then I worked at Freddie Mac until I guess last April.
Okay. And Wad, you came on as executive producer. What was your is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the like you were saying, your skill set really helped see things through? Where's that come from? Where's your background to give you that skill set?
I guess it first of all like happened organically, where I kind of found my interest in the process of like filmmaking, and realized that I'm really good at seeing so many moving parts and trying to make them all flow and make sense with one another.
Okay.
But my background is completely different. I have not been in media.
Sure.
I got a degree in foreign service from Georgetown, and after that I moved. I was really interested in human development and in international development overall. And what I realized is that education is really the tool for that.
Sure.
So I started off as a teacher.
Cool.
Same. I taught really.
Yeah, I was a teacher. I taught French.
Wow. For how many years?
5.
Wow, I only lasted 3 years.
3? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you got your, I think the average is like 2 and 2.5, so you beat the average.
I did.
Yeah. Where were you teaching?
I was teaching in Qatar. It's a country right next to the United Arab Emirates.
Mm-hmm. That's where they had the World Cup, right?
Yeah, they had the World Cup in 2022. And I basically entered this like leadership development program. It's the equivalent of like Teach for America. It's part of the Teach for All chapter. And yeah, I went into teaching and I had no experience. We only had probably like 6 months of professional development.
Sure.
And it was like, all right, off you go.
Off you go.
And I taught middle school, which was, they're a special bunch, you know.
And
like,
were these Qatari kids or military? Yeah. Okay.
They were not Qatari kids. It was, Qatar has a huge expat community.
Okay.
So, it was kids from like different backgrounds. There were Syrians, Palestinians, Egyptians, but it was like in public schools. So I taught in a specific area, and taught in that school for about 2 years. But it was pretty cool. And then I kind of continued into, I kind of like continued in the education field. I've been in the education field for about more than 10 years now. Wow, time flies. But after that, I moved on to like teacher recruitment and training for that program. Mm-hmm. And after that, I went and got my master's in education.
Okay.
And then I moved and transitioned into refugee education, and specifically like early childhood, and was working in basically managing this program that was in 5 different countries. Yeah. I guess it's a long-winded way of answering your question, but that's really, I feel like I've learned a specific skill with each job, and it really translates into producing. I think producing is basically like project management. Yeah.
Well, and teaching is very much executing a project every single block or period or class.
Lesson plan, objectives, outcomes.
Yeah. You have no choice but to do it. Yeah. It is crazy to think, looking back, how productive I was as a teacher.
Dude, I was just talking about that a couple of days ago.
Like, not that I'm not productive in my new job. What's up, Susan? But like every single day going in with like a loaded lesson plan, like I never do that anymore. I mean, I know what I'm doing when I come into work, but like, it's just crazy how much, I mean, obviously it's easier than it sounds. You know what it's like making plans and executing them as a teacher, but it's crazy how much content I was really pushing through a week. But yeah, so that'll definitely get you there. But how did you then fall into a world of media?
I think it was literally Dalton showing me the script of Missing You, which is our first film that we produced together.
Cool.
And this one, it was, more than 2 people working as crew.
Yeah. You had a real, did you have a real best boy?
Not on this one.
No,
not
it
that
was
quite
a
level.
really small crew. We had like a director of photography, an audio engineer.
Yep. One audio engineer.
And
PAs.
And a couple of PAs. And I think Dalton was helping. He was also like a camera assistant while directing.
Sure.
And then I did everything else. I was the makeup artist. I was the costume designer. Yeah.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
That's so cool.
yeah, and I realized I really have a passion for storytelling, but also like helping, especially like writers, filmmakers overall, like turn that vision into reality. I now like really got into budget, so like I would take a script and be like, all right, this is how much it's gonna cost.
Yeah.
And if you want to, stay within that budget, like, it's kind of like really reassessing their, I won't say I'm crushing your dreams, but just really
the more rational, business-minded, feet on the floor.
Yes.
I get it. No, that's super important to have, and that's what Dalton said. We made a huge difference for 1108.
Was the scrappiest way to get this done.
The scrappiest way. I like it. Okay. All right. That's so cool. Well, let me ask you this, and we've already talked about it a little bit. One thing that always amazes me, because I've never done anything like this, and it scares me, and it's a question a lot of people have, I bet, for either you, but all entrepreneurs eventually have to make that decision. When does it become full-time? And then as well, now you're hiring people and such. When did you decide, okay, I'm leaving? You said Freddie Mac. When are you leaving, or and how are you going to do it to go full-time and invest, your life into this?
Yeah, I don't know if there was like one day where I was like, I'm going to do this. I knew after we made Missing You that this was something that was going to require a lot of time, just because, we would be taking calls for that film. And then we did another film after that, She's Mine Now, where, I'd be at work till 9, 10 o'clock just because I was talking with them and talking with our other producer about, how do we get this done? How do we bring this cast in? Do we have these contracts ready? Or we're having other meetings with other team members. And so it just became kind of unmanageable. And, we'll talk about the film festival in a bit here, but with that coming in, it just, life seemed to be telling me that like I just can't do two things at once. And so I think it was over time I just realized. And then, I just be honest, this is America. I'm kind of a capitalist, and I was a producer at Freddie, and I would see the invoices that were coming in from a lot of these media producers, and you're just like, I can do most of this stuff.
Yeah.
Why would I not go chase that liquidity? Yeah,
absolutely. I love that. And I also think it's interesting too how you phrased it as like that decision almost being a time-based thing.
Yeah.
Like you just don't have time to do the both. You have to choose one, and you chose the one that you enjoyed more. And like you said, you have the skill set for it, and money will get there when it gets there. And that's a really great way to look at it. I know it's different when some people have dependents or they need like certain, insurance or whatever. But for you and your stake in life, we're young professionals, we're next gen. This is the time to take those risks, and you went for it. And so far, it looks like it's working out really well with projects like the Fredericksburg Film Fest. I want to hear everything about it. So I know a lot about it already, but I had to play dumb as if I'm just hearing it, because we got viewers who may not have heard about all of this. I'm on your advisory committee, which I've loved.
Yeah,
I absolutely love the Film Fest. I went to it last year and was blown away. And I'll tell this now. I remember hearing the invitation from Ryan. Like, hey, we're doing a film fest. It's Fredericksburg Film Fest. And I didn't know anything about you or honestly too much about Ryan at the time. I was like, how good can this really be? Fredericksburg Film Fest. And then I went and I was just blown away. Your website obviously looked incredible from the get-go. There was such a good program and good movies. I could not believe how awesome it was. And I was like, this is happening like 2 blocks away from my apartment for super cheap. I couldn't believe how lucky I was and ignorant to think anything less of how great it turned out to be. So anyway, tell me all about the Fredericksburg Film Fest, man. I think it's so cool. How did this start? Is this year 2? Everything, man.
Yeah. I'll start kind of with where it started, and maybe why do you want to take it with where we're going?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that. So it started last year. So Ryan Cuddy, as you mentioned, our founder and our program director, he came up with the idea. And what was originally going to be was we were going to be over at Fredericksburg Square.
Yeah.
It was owned
Waters
by
and Brewery.
Exactly. Ryan Sharkey, who's also on our advisory committee. But anyway,
love Ryan.
He's a wonderful guy. But life happens sometimes, and they had to move the Waters End location to a different location. And so with that, there just wasn't a Fredericksburg Film Festival anymore.
Yeah.
And so Ryan brought me in, and I first thought was just kind of as a consultant, but he was like, would you like to run the festival? And I run 1108. It's a media production boutique. I have a team behind me. And so I think, for Ryan's end, he had this idea, but he needed structure and kind of the backbone with it. And so, obviously Ryan is an essential part of the team, and I brought Watt in. We brought 2 other producers in last year, Carlos Naranjo and John Hine, and then a bunch of different volunteers. And really what we helped do was just kind of create a citywide takeover of it. We went to 718, Red Dragon, Rain Brewery, and really the whole idea is, when you come to one of our screenings, it's a hyper, intimate type event. You're going to watch good films, but the filmmakers are going to be there. You're going to get to talk with them, and then we're going to have happy hours afterwards where those filmmakers are still going to be there. You can
like
approach
reception,
them. Exactly.
I went to, I can't even remember what the film is technically called, but it was about UVA and their history with the buildings that were constructed by slave labor.
Yes.
And I remember it was such a cool watch, and I just didn't really look at the agenda, and the filmmaker and who was also interviewed in this documentary was there, and she was then interviewed by Fredericksburg Area Museum, and I thought that was such a cool, amazing idea. One, obviously it's more intimate, but two, to have our own local connection interviewing her was just wonderful programming. I don't know whose idea it was between you two or advisory or Ryan or what, but I was like, that was incredible. So cool.
And to that point about community, I think that's one of the biggest encouragements that we got.
Absolutely.
And kind of a nice thing about that is we met this person, Antonella Membrano, who actually wound up coming onto our team, and now she's heading up our marketing. And so we met people like that who are hyper enthusiastic, not just about watching film, but participating in the distribution of film in the area, which is very exciting.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. I remember that first moment of just this is going to work. As soon as I stepped in and then the process of watching the film and the interview, I was like, this is going to be a big program. So that was last year. You did the little takeover. It is now 2025. Your dates are April 16th
through the 20th. Yeah.
Okay. I got it. Tell me about this year. Is it growing? How's it different? Is it better?
Definitely growing. I feel like last year we had about 3 months to really get everything up and running, but this year we really started in September, and the first couple of months, and you were actually there for the advisory committee. It's like us just envisioning what this would be,
just idea storm, brainstorming.
Exactly. And then kind of taking those goals. One of the goals was that we want to provide educational opportunities for filmmakers when they come. We really want to create a festival that is filmmaker centered. So, prior to even getting to the festival, the filmmakers are sharing feedback on what's the most important thing for them.
Yeah.
And we really try to curate the entire festival based on that feedback. Another part of it is that, a lot of times when you go into we go to film festivals, really they spotlight just, the director, the producer, but here we're really honoring all the different roles within filmmaking.
I recall an actor being interviewed at one point.
Exactly. And that was also one of the goals. So I think each one of us kind of organically took a part of, one of the goals. And another goal of ours was really community engagement, and including, as many local businesses as we can. And I think this is what sets this year apart. I think we're way more prepped, and a lot of people are really excited about the festival, that something awesome like that is happening within Fredericksburg. But another thing is we're doing all that planning. We're making sure everything's ready logistics wise, but you really don't realize the importance of this festival until you watch the films. And there's so many up and coming filmmakers that just are incredibly talented, and so many of them are actually in Virginia.
Right.
I think we have, how many filmmakers from Virginia do we have this year?
It's probably around 5 or 6. We've got a couple from Fredericksburg, a couple from Nova, one from Chesapeake. But
very cool. Very cool. But you're right, it's important. People don't realize, including me. Like I said, my first impression, I was like, how good can the Fredericksburg Film Festival be? I was naive, and then I realized, whether they're in Fredericksburg or, like you said, down the road in Richmond or in Chesapeake, it's like, oh my gosh, there's some really good quality here, and there's a lot of good creative minds that are just waiting for either a good team or a WAD to come help them land this plane, or a crowd to watch it, or sometimes you guys even get some bigger names that are already pretty established at this film festival. Let's really quickly take a small pause to make sure our cameras are still working. And then we'll continue this conversation. I have a lot of questions about the movies that we're showing, and all sorts of programs. What can we do? There's one film that I remember I'm really excited about that day. Skate Wolf.
Scapegoat.
Scapegoat. Dang
Yes.
it. Edit it out. No, Scapegoat.
Yeah, that documentary is really awesome. It's just like happened. I think even like the documentary itself happened so organically where
That is incredible.
Really,
Yeah. So let's advertise, a little bit of these three things. I don't want you to say like what's your favorite and alienate anybody, but what we can do, I say, let's tell the viewers one thing they all could be looking forward to. I want to start with Scapegoat because it looks sick. So tell me a little bit about that film, Scapegoat. I know you didn't produce, right? But we're showing it on that Saturday. What venue? What time? What's it about? Can I get food and drink? Whoa! Give me. And guys, look how sweet this logo is. I dropped it. Look how sweet that logo is. See, that's what you get with 1108 Media right there.
And, this is a great example of community engagement. This poster was created by Pete.
Morlevich?
I always butcher his last name.
But Print Jazz.
I like Print Jazz.
And,
amazing.
he was really awesome in just, supporting us. And I really like it. It stands out.
It does stand out. Funny story about Pete. I know we're trying to talk about Scapegoat, but I have to share the story about Pete and Print Jazz. I used to bartend at Red Dragon Brewery myself, and he had designed cans for us. It was a beautiful digital Fredericksburg design. Someone came in to buy these cans, and he was buying a 4-pack, and he hands them to me to check out. I'm like, yeah, man, these are made by a local artist. His name's Pete. His work seems so cool. And the guy kind of starts laughing. He's like, I'm Pete. And I'm like, well, now you know it's genuine that someone likes your art.
Yeah.
Like I'm into it. But yeah, I love Pete. So I'm glad he helped. Scapegoat. Saturday, April 19th, a documentary being shown at 7:30 p.m. at Red Dragon Brewery. Where I actually embarrassed myself in front of Pete. Are you familiar enough with the movie's plot or background to tell us about it? Don't be shy.
Let me start us off. Yeah. No, we got 40 films. We watch them all a bunch of times, so they kind of sometimes go together. But like I think with Scapegoat, it's I think around 90 minutes or so, maybe 2 hours.
Sure.
Yeah, but anyway, it's a film that's, like Wad said, it's kind of incredible because it goes, I think, over the course of about 12 or 13 years. It follows, I can't remember the name of the kid, but he's one of the best skateboarders in the world right now. Like I guess kind of the next Tony Hawk. And this kid was homeless on the streets a little over a decade ago. And this documentarian found the kid, and it seemed to be more or less just kind of a relationship built off of personality, right? This kid has another friend that he meets along the way that he starts skateboarding with, and he's also got this relationship with his brother, and his brother starts kind of going down another track. But anyway, you just kind of follow this kid as he moves through life and finds success, but also kind of the dips of the natural dips of life. And I think it's one of those films that is going to have a happy ending, but is also kind of, you're more interested in what's in the middle, right? The journey is the interesting thing with Scapegoat.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very excited for that one. I'm not like a big skater or anything, but I used to when I was younger, and the art of it too looked really interesting to me. So I'm excited to watch it for the first time.
Beautiful film.
Yeah, and it falls at like probably the prime time, Saturday night for this. And you have the block party right before with Virginia Man.
Yes.
That's cool.
That's gonna be fun.
That's cool. Great news then. Okay, I'll ask you both individually. Again, you don't have to say which one's your favorite, but you could tell the crowd one thing they can do at the film fest coming up. Which one of these should they go to?
Can I break your rule and tell him a couple? Can I tell him a couple of them?
Yeah, I thought maybe you could talk about like different blocks or.
I'm gonna talk about a few different films.
Okay.
So just three films, and I'll be very fast here.
Fast.
I'll try.
I only gave you one. I'm kidding.
So Student Shorts on Thursday, 4/17. There is a film by a Virginia filmmaker named Old Man Dream. She is 16 years old. Her name is Indy Melvin.
And her name's Old Man Dream, but she's 16.
I like it. Yeah. Her name is Indy Melvin, 16 years old, and it's a film that was made by two people, her and her dad. Her dad is the actor. She's everything else. She directed, she shot, she edited, she wrote, and it's just one of those things where like it's a very good movie, but it's also more exciting for the artist to see like where this person is going.
Yeah. Okay.
Highly recommend checking that one out. Remnants of Nova, that is in our Pride and Film block. That's going to be the narrator for the panel on that, I believe, is Will McIntosh. That's what I was looking
Very
for.
good call.
Yes. And there is a film in there, like I said, called Remnants of Nova. The director's name is James Barker. I believe he's out of New Jersey. Phenomenal film, but it's an even cooler story behind it. He was telling me that his DP, his cinematographer, had applied for credits, right? This grant program right before. They forgot about it, and right before they go into filming, they get all the grants. So they get this nice camera kit, they get this nice coloring kit, they get this nice VFX kit. So the film looks gorgeous, great
so
script.
beautifully shot, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the final film I just want to put at, or final director I want to look at, a guy named Timothy Parsons.
Oh, yeah.
He's got 2 films on our festival, one on opening night, Waiting for April, one on the closing night in the Virginia Films block, The Memory Project.
Cool.
I'm talking with Tim some point in the next couple of weeks, so I haven't had a chance to kind of go through his story, but he's a director that Wad, myself, Ryan have been kind of asking about in the film community, and no one seems to have heard of him, but he's so good. He's so good.
Yeah.
Like, we really don't like to put 2 films with the same director in the festival, and we just couldn't. We could not program it. Yeah, and it's just... is another one. I think he's like 27, 28 years old, and it's just like he's great now.
Yeah.
Wherever he's going is very, very exciting.
Well, I think it's great too, even for him, because then he has 2 films he gets to go and be here for. Where did you say he lives again?
Somewhere in Virginia. I think it's Chesapeake.
Gotcha. Might as well stick around so he can do both. More bang for his buck, and as well to continue and meet the other filmmakers.
Yeah.
And, get to know the community better. That's really great. I think that's an awesome one to do first. And I also like that you guys bleed in like social mixers, and like you said, receptions. Like you can just go to Curitiba on opening day, and there's no official program. It's just meet and hang out with all the other creatives and filmmakers and attendees, and you all are usually there too, of course. Yeah. Wad, wanted to ask you, someone's first time hearing about the film fest. What's a cool first thing they can go to and do?
Honestly, I'm just going to talk about opening day.
Okay, yeah.
The short films block that we have for that day, it's at 6 p.m. at Marriott Courtyard, Courtyard Marriott. And it's really, I think, a collection of films.
Sure.
Show, all the different, there's always something for everyone. And I think we were really intentional about that first screening to show, what kinds of films we're going to be showing. And yeah, they're incredible films. And another one is the Virginia Film Block, honestly.
Where's this one?
That's
the opening?
With opening night, just real quick to point out, we have 2 Fredericksburg filmmakers in that.
Yeah.
Just to put out.
Okay.
But yeah, the Virginia Films Block as well. And, like Dalton mentioned, we have a couple of Fredericksburg filmmakers, but what we're really trying to do with this festival is create a sense of community, even within the with the filmmakers, that, we're even like currently like engaged with our alumni from 2024, and, they're helping us with producing a podcast. They're going to be interviewing this year's filmmakers. And, we really, I don't want it to just be like, okay, you attend the festival 1 year and then we want to, learn about, what you're doing. We want to support you, spotlight you. And I think this is one cool thing that Dalton, came up with during this festival, is that even last year, he met with every single filmmaker that got into the festival and really learned about the film. And, I think spotlights them. And I think the filmmakers really appreciate this like personal touch where we, it's not just for showing your film, but we really want to get to know you as a person and see how we can support you.
Absolutely. That goes far.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think, we're a festival, at least right now, it's pretty low on financial resources. So what we try to do is make it up for that enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And so when we were making the festival, I've never worked at a festival before. Wad's never worked at a festival before. We are only familiar with going to festivals as filmmakers.
Yeah.
And so we just try to think about the things that we didn't like at festivals, where it feels like you're paying for a laurel, right? I submit, I get in, I get the laurel, maybe I go and I get to do a quick Q&A, and that's it. I never talk to you guys again. And we really want it to feel like you can always just email us, even with your ideas, and we can bounce stuff off of it.
Create a community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And especially, too, like we were talking about the importance of the film festival. I mean, I doubt that Fredericksburg's going to come Hollywood anytime soon, or Georgia, or Quebec, which are all these like big film production areas, but we can still foster that art environment here, which is, I would love to push that further and further. And I think this is probably the biggest thing that we're doing. We have a couple other artistic movements around town, of course, and some that you're already working with as well, with with Pawn Shop, and they have a couple of ideas.
Art Attack.
Yeah, Art Attack. There's the Fredericksburg Book Festival. Or
when's
independent
that?
author. I have to ask James Knoll about it, but it's coming up as well.
Okay.
That's just a day event at her camp. But yeah, so it's things we want to keep pushing. And no one's against arts, right? I hope not, at least. But put your, not necessarily where your money or your mouth is, put your effort and your time and come out to these events and see what your local community has to provide. And like I said, I was blown away with how much better it was than I was expecting. So that's really great.
That's awesome.
So people can obviously get tickets. You had talked about low financial resources. Hopefully, you guys are doing sponsorships and packages.
Sponsorships, yeah. And when I say low financial resources, we're doing fine. It's just, when you think about the big boy festivals, Virginia Film Festival, Riff, Middleburg, like those are businesses. For us, it's a little bit more just kind of a celebration of film at the moment.
I love that. And honestly, I think there's a lot of beauty in just it being a celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we would love to help you guys be there. I'll get some of my own tickets, of course, and we'll be there in full support. You guys also looking for volunteers and such?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What do they do?
We're actually surprised by the number of people that are interested to be part of this. I think we have, compared to last year, maybe 5 more volunteers.
Yeah. And if someone's interested in volunteering, how would they?
If they can go to our website, or there's actually there's a link pinned into our in our bio on Instagram.
Follow and subscribe.
Yeah.
And then they can submit that. What I like about the form too is that it shows the different. They can choose like how they want to volunteer, what department they want to be part of, based on their interests and their background as well. But yeah, they can sign up over there, submit the form. We're actually meeting with the majority of our volunteers pretty soon here.
That's awesome.
We want to engage them in pre-festival activities.
Well, that's really great. I would love to as well, spread the word with that too, and make sure you guys are adequately staffed and do what we can to help. I'll try to sign up for a volunteer gig for one of these days. We'll see which one I can do. I'll get my pass here soon. Well, that's great. I'm super excited for the festival. Last year was great. This year is going to be even better, I hope. And I'm always super happy to help out how I can. And
one thing to know just popped in my head because you said it. If you volunteer, you get a pass. You get to come to all of the stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Okay. Well.
That's one nice perk.
And you're also part of our advisory committee, so you just immediately kind of get a pass.
But I want the cool pass. But I want the actual. I hear it. Well, thank you. But so that's great. So if you guys hear that first, if you're I think the VIP passes are 75 or 100.
175.
175. Yeah. Yep, that's what I meant.
But you get everything.
Yeah, and as well, you get a pass to go to the other, the whole thing.
Yep.
Which is wonderful. Well, that's great. I definitely will be considering that then. It's just a matter of which day it will work.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll be at Skate one way or another. That's so cool.
Yeah,
well, guys.
Sorry to cut you off, but people should take advantage of the 15% discount. I believe it's up until the 22nd.
Yeah, a little early bird.
Yeah, and we just did day passes as well. So if you can only do one day and you just want to come to all those events, you can also buy a day pass.
Oh, that's smart.
The all access VIP pass and the day passes, like people could also attend the all the workshops and panels that we have. So for the day pass, you can attend all the workshops that are that day or the panels that are going to be scheduled for that day as well.
Okay, right on. I'm into that. That's a really smart way to manage it. Well, this is great. I can't look any more forward to this. Real quick for you guys, 1108 Media, just tell me a little bit more about some other products and services you guys do. I think I'd be remiss not to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I mean, Wad can talk a little bit more about our films. That's, if I'm being honest here, we try to make money in order to make creative, right? The whole reason 1108 even formed in the first place is because we wanted to make movies. And so, that's always going to be the North Star. But in terms, we recognize the reality. We have to make money. And so we've been doing a few different projects. I work a lot with the EDT, the Economic Development and Tourism Office.
They're so great.
They're wonderful. Natalie, MC, Danelle, love all of them. So we've been doing some projects with them, some video work and some photography work with them. It's just kind of miscellaneous stuff. But I'd like to do some stuff for Restaurant Week, hopefully. And then I've been doing some work with the FAC, the Fredericksburg Art Commission.
Right.
We've been hoping to spotlight the local galleries, just kind of doing profile pieces on each of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've worked with them a little bit, and Kelly from
Kelly Drake, yes,
yeah,
phenomenal.
Yeah, from the Tattoo Works. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. And of course, you guys do some, you said photography.
Yes, we do photography. We offer, if you need headshots, we also do podcast production. We do, commercials. We do portfolio pieces. We kind of run the gambit. And the nice thing about us too is, if you need us to scale up for some sort of, nationwide or regional distribution of media, we can scale up to a full production team. But if you've only got a few $100, I can come out and figure out, okay, well, these are deliverables you can get for that money.
Yeah,
exactly.
I like it. And like you said, you do podcast stuff, and now you get to be a guest.
Yeah.
But usually we record this with less nice equipment. Dalton and Wad were so kind to bring in their Sony A7s, or what are these?
You guys got good mics here. I like this setup.
The mics are good, but everyone's going to notice this video looks significantly better. But yeah, so photography, I wanted to bring that up too because we have a small event coming up together, March 27th. We are doing some happy hour and headshots at Six Bears and a Goat, one of our awesome partners, where you all will be helping provide some headshots for everyone that comes and attends can receive one free headshot. And if they want more, Dalton can certainly talk more about it, but we're super excited to work together on that one.
Yeah. No, like you're saying, it's, we'll take as many shots as you need. I will tether the camera, which just means I can give you a preview shot on a laptop of what the shots look like. And really all it is whatever shot you want, I will edit that shot and I will send that to you. If you want multiple, or if you want more than one, you more or less, it's a flat rate, right? You pay $150, but at $150, you can have as many shots as you want.
Sure.
Pick as many you want. I will edit all of them.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the hope really is sometimes at least for me, when I was getting out of college, I felt like I just couldn't afford a headshot, or I really couldn't trust the photographer because I don't,
It's a lot of things too that people don't realize that they need a good one.
You need a good one. Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah. So, your friends with a DSLR is maybe a little bit different than, bringing someone on with an actual lighting kit. So, I guess what I'm saying is they can trust, go to 1108media.com and you can see our headshots, but you need to trust that you're going to get a high fidelity asset, at least at the end of the day, that you don't have to pay for. And if you would like some alternatives, then it's a small price. I generally would say headshots range from anywhere from $500 to $1,000. So hopefully we're trying to kind of lower the bar for entry and get some young professionals headshots.
Yeah. And we love that. Obviously that's all Next Gen is about is, uplifting and empowering our young professional community, which you two belong to. It's a happy hour event where we're at Six Bears, they'll have food and some beer and then in between, if you're bored of the conversation you're in, or you're in between two and you're not for sure who to talk to,
come hang out with me.
Come hang out with Dalton. Yeah. He'll take a free headshot for you. And you can hang out, talk more about the 1108 Media, or of course the Film Fest coming up. And
please talk about movies with me.
Yeah, we love movies. I was thinking about our icebreaker instead of being the mugs. What's your favorite movie? But that could go 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's another podcast.
That's a whole nother episode. But yeah, we're super excited about that one. It should be fun. We're getting a decent bit of a crowd already, so it's going to be fun. And
you're saying about 40 people or so?
That's the dream.
Okay.
Last time I checked, we're at 20, but it always turns into 40. So should be fun. We love Six Bears. Network, meet some friends, get a headshot. We're all there to have fun and just meet new people, and it's very cool to have this extra opportunity to. I mean, a headshot can really boost your career if you don't have a good one.
Yeah.
Or if your hairline is receding and it is now gone, you need a new headshot to accurately reflect that. Dalton, you'll be there too, correct, Wad?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll be there.
Yeah, Dalton and Wad will come help you out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really great. Well, we're pumped for that one, and very excited to have a partnership with you all for that.
No, we appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, and of course, it's always nice to have a beer with a friend. So
yeah, exactly.
Sure. Well, friends, before we sign off, is there anything coming up we should talk about, you think?
So this Wednesday, for anyone who's purchased a VIP ticket to the Fredericksburg Film Festival, we have an event at the Reclaim Arcade.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Yes, that's tomorrow.
Hopefully I get the pod out before then.
But yeah, I guess after when this pod is coming out, we're at Regal this weekend. That's probably this weekend. What we got going on in April before the festival, I think?
First Friday, we're going to be downtown, right outside Pawn Shop.
Very cool. I'm there. Yeah. I'm coming.
Yes.
Nice. Would love to have you. And yeah, we just want to talk to people about the festival, what to expect. And, this festival is going to be a downtown takeover, so we'd love to get the word out as much as possible.
Right on. So I forgot about this First Friday coming up in April. and you're right outside a pawn shop. So are they offering some sort of show or anything? Or?
No, just Scarlett is awesome. She's just like,
love Scarlett.
Hey, you
cool.
could just set up a table outside, and yeah, it's just a space she provided, and we love her for that.
Yeah, that's great. That's how we get this thing to grow. Well, right on. I'll be there. And I should be at Reclaim as well tomorrow night.
Just one quick shout out. Go visit your local galleries. That's what First Friday is for.
Yes. I try to always. I love First Friday, but I always like to stop by pawn shop or if there's any pop-ups. I know the tattoo parlors will do pop-ups too, which is very fun. It's great. A lot of good ones down there. Well, cool. Awesome. Well, let's let art continue to thrive in Fredericksburg. Thank you guys so much for being at the forefront of that, for being here today. It's always fun to interview some good friends. Can't wait for this pod to drop and everyone to see how great you two are and 1108 is, and of course the film festival. And then of course, again, guys, you can meet them in person March 27th at Six Bears and a Goat. And of course on First Friday outside at Pawn Shop. Get your headshots, sign in, get some tickets, consider volunteering. If you don't know when to volunteer, you can volunteer with me. I'll be your friend. But yeah, all right, we'll sign off here. You guys, thanks again so much for coming in.
Thank you for hosting us.
Thanks for having us, Trey.
Of course. Trey here again with Next Gen Unscripted. Shout out to all of our sponsors. We love you, Mayturn Staffing, Hub International, Community Title Network, and a couple more here to announce soon. Stay tuned for more Next Gen stuff. We'll get you that newsletter. Guys, thanks so much for listening. All right, let's call it quits. It's perfect. Bam.